Hey guys, how's it going? It's 8-Bit Eric, and we're going to talk about a game called Haven. Now, this is on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox. And in fact, it's actually on Game Pass right now. So if you decide to want to see this game for yourself, you can play it on Game Pass and see what it's all about. So what attracted my attention the most with Haven was its artistic style. Call me a guy that likes stuff that looks cool and easy on the eyes, fancy looking cell shaded graphics and just like colors and a weird looking abstract type of look. That's what caught my attention the most in this. Now, what is this game about? It's about a couple. The names are K and U, and they basically live their life on a planet far from home. They're stranded. They live in a ship. Some things go on. You progress through the relationship, and you get to learn that, like about who they are and their personalities and stuff. It's like a visual novel at the basic core elements of it, but then there's also light RPG elements that come in once you're introduced to fighting. Yeah, you fight battles and stuff with certain creatures that you find eventually in here. It's kind of slow paced though. I would say this game is more narrative based than anything. Again, it is actually more based on learning the characters and the character development and interacting with them and what they're doing on this planet. Why are they far from home? So you learn a little bit more of the backstory of them as it progresses. Now, I'm going to say it's kind of a weeb game, if I'm going to be honest. It's a little bit weeaboo in its nature and stuff like that, which is typically not my cup of tea. But I like to go out of my element once in a while. Now, I would say once you get out to the world and you explore, you'll find different types of fruit and food that you can get. It's very important to use this stuff to make cooking recipes for your characters to eat to survive. So at its other element, which is like a mishmash of everything, it's kind of like a stew of genres. You got the visual novel aspect. You also have the light RPG aspect for when you do the battling and stuff, but you also have survival aspects where you have to find certain items and resources and make recipes to eat and survive and sleep and build up your ship, because there's a point in the game where your ship gets destroyed and you have to kind of repair it. So you go around exploring and figure out what to do in order to fix your thing. So your ship is called the Nest, and the ship is basically where you live at, and you figure out what to do. It's kind of like, it sounds boring, and in fact, I would say, I'm going to be completely honest, I was a little bored playing this game. Again, it's not typically what I would play for the most part. If you're into the, I guess, psychological and emotional aspect of figuring out these characters' backstories and their relationship and stuff, you might like it. But if you're into something more a little action-packed, I don't think what is here presented in the battles is enough, to be completely honest. You do make some decisions and choices in the narrative here that do affect where the relationship bond goes. It'll increase or kind of change depending on your response to decisions that you make in here. So that kind of, you kind of have to pay attention to the characters' likes and their dislikes and things like that. It's basically like a relationship simulator. On top of that, everything that you do does expand and shape the bond and everything like that. So from cooking, crafting, combat, your relationship does interact in here. So I guess there is a little bit of mechanics in here that are interesting enough. It's just the pace and the plot and the story of the game itself didn't excite me enough to want to complete the game. In fact, it felt kind of like a slog, a little bit of a chore in here. Again, I'm not typically into the visual novel type of stuff. If I play an RPG game, I want something a little bit more fast-paced, and Haven definitely didn't provide that. So with that said, I would say, I don't know. I wouldn't honestly recommend it. I'm probably not doing this game any justice. I guess if I was to compliment something on it, the battle system is actually really well done. It's turn-based. You take control of both characters simultaneously, and you select what actions each character takes. So you get 4 options. You have an impact attack, which is a physical attack, a blast, which is long-range attack, shield, and pacify. So basically, you attack these enemies long enough to where you have the chance to pacify them and combat them down. You know, the combat mechanics really don't come to its most best potential for the game until probably about the halfway point of this game, when you encounter enemies that are actually a little bit more interactive with their battle, where they can fight back and they do certain attacks. Because early on, you fight like basic enemies that just kind of stand there and don't do anything. Now, the game does get a little bit better with the combat, I said, but to slog through it and get to a certain point in the game to where you reach that point, for me, just could not keep my attention, which is why this review is basically all over the place. Haven looked like it had a good art design, which attracted my attention, but again, this is another perfect example of don't judge a book by its cover, because while it does look good on the outside, it typically was not my cup of tea, so I just backed away from it entirely. So my thoughts on this are, you might not enjoy this game. I didn't enjoy it. I probably would say this was at least a 6 out of 10, just because I just could not find myself wanting to play through the game. So my initial thoughts, my initial impressions on Haven was it fell short of being entertaining for my personal view. I've seen other avenues and other places rate this at least a 7. I think that's being a little too nice. I don't know. Maybe it just wasn't my cup of tea. But anyways, guys, I'm going to end the review there. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks a lot.